All right, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, this time of year, we're starting to see OTAs, we're starting to see the rookies, we're starting to see the veterans, coaching staff, everyone working together. The early pieces of the strategy and personnel for the 2025 Cowboys are starting to come together. And there's one rookie in particular, I know a lot of people are high on, that the Cowboys have made a very interesting move with. It shows that the Cowboys really think he's going to be a special player early on. We'll get to that report in just 1 second. But first, I'm Nick, that's Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, during OTA season, it's very easy to fall in love with random highlights. Hey, a rookie got an interception, or hey, someone caught a pass and it looked cool, or whatever, right? And that's all fun and it's all great to see on social media. It's fun, but it's not real. The reality is, you need to look at what the coaches are doing and saying when it comes to these players, specifically the rookies. That'll give you an indication of players that are set to have really big impacts early on. And when it comes to one Cowboys rookie in particular, the coaching staff has made an interesting move here. I think this is a clear indication they think he's even better than they expected, and they're looking for ways to use him creatively. Let's pull up this report here, courtesy of A to Z Sports. For many analysts, the Dallas Cowboys' best pick of the 2025 NFL Draft happened in the second round. I agree with this, by the way, when they selected edge Donovan Ezeraku out of Boston College. And before mandatory minicamp, his potential role on defense is getting increasingly interesting. The Cowboys coaching staff is putting a lot on Ezeraku's plate, as insider Nick Harris from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reports the rookie has been getting a lot of run with the ones and OTAs, basically a lot of reps with the starters. Naturally, Ezeraku's snap count in practice is influenced by Micah Parsons' absence from the voluntary portion of the offseason. However, here's the important part. It's another decision by the coaching staff that turned heads during the final week of OTAs and ahead of mandatory minicamp. Ezeraku was playing at off-ball linebacker for a couple snaps per ESPN's Todd Archer. According to the reporter, he looked comfortable in the position. All right, Eberflus, the new Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator, he is a traditionalist 4-3 guy. We're talking two defensive ends, two defensive tackles, three stand-up off-ball linebackers, right? This is not some hybrid look. This isn't some 3-4 kind of defense look. Eberflus is a traditional 4-3 guy. That's how he's always been. That's his mindset. That's how he coaches, and with a lot of great effect, whether it was during his time in Dallas, obviously when he was coaching defenses in places like Indianapolis, and even as the head coach in Chicago when he was leading up the defense there, which was actually pretty good. He is a very, hey, we line up and play in this traditional look. We may do some different things here or there, but we play who we play personnel and formation wise. So the fact that Ezeraku is getting snaps at an off-ball linebacker position, remember, not a stand-up edge the way we sometimes think of these edge players being stand-up off-ball. This is like weak side linebacker kind of stuff here, old school. I think this is an indication that the Dallas Cowboys look at Ezeraku and they're like, after seeing him in rookie minicamp, after seeing him in these voluntary OTAs and things like that, they're like, okay, we got something here. We got a heck of a player here. They can look around and say, yeah, we got Williams coming back off of injury. We got Fowler. Of course, we got Parsons, right? We got Marshawn Nealand, right? What are we going to do at defensive end right now with how many guys we have across the board? Where are we going to fit Ezeraku in this mix, right? We can only play so many guys. You can't put 9 defensive ends on the field. Obviously, last season with the injuries, people forget that when the Cowboys are healthy, and certainly with their new cadre of defensive ends and edge rushers, they're going to have a lot of bodies, right? So if you're Ezeraku, a second-round pick, how do you get him on the field if he's really good? You're not going to take Micah Parsons off the field. You're not going to take all of Dante Fowler's reps. You got a guy in Nealand you're still trying to develop. Sam Williams, if he comes back fully healthy, he was coming into a breakout star before the injury. Who are you going to take off the field? So you have to look at Ezeraku and say, where can we put him in the game? Where can we give him opportunities to showcase his playmaking ability? And with the Cowboys doing that, I think it's a sign where they say, all right, listen, we've got something here, right? I know it's kind of not a fair comparison and it's extremely early, but it does remind me a little bit when Parsons was drafted. And they're like, okay, he's going to be an off-ball linebacker, but when we had some injuries and Randy Gregory missed some time, let's put him at defensive end. Let's give him some reps there. And, let's give him some blitz opportunities, and then becomes a superstar. And then, okay, we'll kind of keep him in that role. When you have a guy like Parsons, who was, again, another level, I'm not putting Ezeraku in that category. I'm just saying from a personnel perspective, when you see a guy who has that special ability, you find ways to get him on the field as best as you can. You say, where can we put him? He's so good. Let's just get him on the field. Again, I'm going to throw another crazy comparison out here. I'm just doing this to illustrate a point. When Michael Jordan was coming out of college, and Bobby Knight was the head coach of the U.S. Men's national team. He coached Jordan at that level and during the Olympics in 1984. A lot of NBA teams, were asking about, hey, we're looking for the best player to select in the draft. Who should we pick? Like Jordan. He's like, Michael Jordan. It's not even close. And they're like, but we need a center. He's like, and then Bobby Knight famously said, draft Jordan and tell him to play center, right? The point being, when you have a great player, you get him in a position on the field, on the court in basketball, and let him do great things, right? You look for opportunities to get him on the field. The Cowboys are taking that same approach here with Donovan Ezeraku. I think it's a clear indication they view him as a potentially, it's early, I get it, but potentially a special kind of player. All right, Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this. But first, Cowboys fans, in the comment section below, let us know right now, of all of the rookies selected in this draft class, who do you think has the highest ceiling? The guy who has the biggest potential out of all of them, right? Is it Ezeraku? Is it Booker? Is it a guy like Jaden Blue? Let us know in the comment section below the highest ceiling guy the Cowboys selected in the 2025 draft. Want to hear from you guys. But Mize, over to you now. What are your thoughts on this latest news involving the Cowboys?
Yeah, Nick, I think, Ezeraku is a great player. We talked about it. We think he's extremely underrated. I think he easily could have been a first round guy, had all of the physical attributes. So when you start to hear, Micah Parsons S stuff, not necessarily in the level of play that he's going to bring, but just they're trying to get creative. They're saying, hey, this guy, there's something special about him. Let's not pigeonhole him into one, category. Let's see where he does really well. Let's move him around and just see early on, how can we get this guy on the field as much as possible? Is off-ball linebacker a good spot? Can we cycle him in there? Obviously, we're going to cycle him in on the defensive line as well, but let's see where we can get this guy on the field. I mean, heck, if he's good enough, you'd be like, how are we going to get him at running back or something like that? But I digress. This is a team that sounds like, hey, we like Ezeraku. We like what he brings to the table. Let's try to get him on the field as much as possible in different looks, in different situations. And I think they're on to something, because when you look at the end of his college career, his last season especially, obviously I'd say 99% of the time this is a guy playing on the defensive line at the edge. But if you look, the last season they started to switch it up a little bit, about around 39 snaps as an off-ball linebacker in the end of his career at Boston College. But if you look weeks 1 through 8, he only had about 6 snaps at off-ball linebacker. If you go the last couple weeks of the season, 9, 11, 12, 13, and 14 for Ezeraku, this is a guy who got 33 of those snaps in the last couple weeks of the season. I think there's something happening there. I think they kind of start to click. Hey, let's get this guy around the ball more. Let's move him around, get him into better situations, get him on the field more, just different packages, whatever we got to do to highlight our player. Obviously, Boston College wasn't really great, so they didn't get a lot of success with it, but you can see the mindset. There's other coaches in the football world that said, I see something here. Let's start to move this guy around and see what he can do at off-ball linebacker. There's something ticking, something starting to go. So I think Cowboys are on to something here. So something similar that they saw at Boston College. They weren't able to capitalize on it. I would give the Cowboys coaching staff a little bit more credit than Boston College staff. I think they're going to be able to figure out, have a better defensive plan than they did at Boston College, who admittedly not that great last year. So I really like what's going on in Dallas, and that's the key here, is you start to hear stuff. All you can do is early on. It's offseason. Really underrated player. A lot of great physical tools. Doing everything he's supposed to in camp. Doing everything he's supposed to in OTAs. But now we're starting to hear, okay, he's given the opportunity. Michael Parsons isn't here for the voluntary portion. What does this guy do? Okay, they're not just saying, all right, stick at edge and we'll just see how you go. No, he's obviously improving enough to like, well, let's get a little creative. Let's see what this guy's doing. They wouldn't move him around if he was just mediocre. If he was an okay player, they're not going to say, all right, let's put you at an off-ball linebacker, see what you got. No, he has to be good. He has to be impressing somewhat. So I think all signs pointing Donovan Ezeraku, really great start to his Cowboys career.